Hey everyone, J-Rob Plays here, and today's going to be a newer type of video than what I normally cover. Normally I just go over the news that's in-game through the in-game system, but in this case we got a developer blog talking about the Pinnacle Energy system. Since it's very important to a lot of people, there's a lot of feedback that people are saying the Pinnacle Energy is holding the game back, and the developers have addressed this. And also, unlike Bungie, the NetEase developers have put together a season 2 through 4 content roadmap, and they did so fairly early on in their development cycle for some of the content coming out, compared to Bungie, who is already basically going to be releasing Renegades and still hasn't come up with anything. And the most we have is just a recent tweet from DMG. Basically, he's saying his mouth wrote a check that Bungie and the development team can't cash. And that's not going to be the case with Destiny Rising, which is a good sign. So let's read through this together, and then we'll go over that information. I also have some additional information has been released in-game in the in-game notes that I want to cover. Just some updates before tomorrow, and then later on, keep an eye out. I'm going to try to get out an ability video for Maru so you can prepare for her and try to get relics right and things like that. There has been some people who were given access apparently to a test version of the game environment that'll be releasing, and those people have put out videos, so I'm going to cover that from Pyrus' perspective so you can kind of see what he was able to get out to us. And we at least appreciate that, again, because my feedback to the developers was to try to get out information as early as possible to people so they could prepare and be hyped for the new character. Now, starting out, they acknowledge that the in-game buzz about Pinnacle Energy has been a source of much discussion and feedback, and a lot of times, of course, it's been a negative that they're talking about. This feedback has been negative feedback. They understand everybody's concern, and they just want to make sure that we know that they take that feedback and concern into consideration. And they start by explaining that the original concept behind the Pinnacle Energy system was that they were trying to balance people who would play on a regular basis to people who are normally mobile players, because mobile players tend to have a shorter span of a play session. They get on and they play for like an hour or two max. And of course, because that's all a lot of people's phones can handle, just an hour and two max mobile playing, the battery is going to be lower. And so they tried to make the Pinnacle system geared toward those players so that they couldn't be essentially outplayed or outtimed by somebody who was not on mobile. And of course, it was always a hot topic to them during the alpha and beta tests. And they adjusted basic rewards several times to try to match the need of players who are playing not on mobile, but also on mobile, who have the ability to play for longer time periods. And it was just a temporary solution, and they know that it's far from perfect, and they know that it's not enough. So given that it's one of the cornerstones of the game's mechanics, they want to make sure that any changes they do are carefully tested, because they can't make any fundamental changes in the short term and assume that it's going to be fine for the game. So they're still kind of tinkering around with how they're going to change that, and they haven't really settled on something that they're ready to share yet. They are talking about it, though, because they think they found a solution, and they think that everybody, new and old, will be able to enjoy the solution. And so that'll be part of the first major update in March. So we'll have to wait until March to see what kind of a rework that is in general. Maybe they'll talk about it a little closer to March, like they talked about it here before season 2. So maybe we'll see something around February from them. Hopefully that'll be the case. Now, in the next section, they discuss live op plans and looking forward. This topic addressed the ability to have major updates on a regular cadence, and they've discussed with us now that they're going to be releasing 2 major updates annually. So very similar to Destiny 2's cadence of the 2 major updates annually, and then of course the 2 sub updates annually. And it looks like that's exactly what they're going to be doing by breaking seasons into 2 parts, but they're going to have, again, 2 major updates with some seasons coinciding with that. So our next major update being in March, season 4. Now, they also discuss overhauling the seasons itself, in-game contents, core systems like weapons and artifacts, and they believe that the major update will be a good experience for both, again, new players and players who have been playing consistently. They also want to try to call out in this article that they are updating Shifting Gates, which I've already covered in the news. Gauntlet Blitz is receiving new stages, new weapons, and then they're going to be bringing the Dawning event, which is really cool. So they already had a Festival Lost, so now they're going to actually have the Dawning event. And it sounds like they're mirroring more of Destiny 1 type of content versus Destiny 2, which I believe is a good thing. And they're also going to have some cool pack stuff. They said they have pack carnivals coming, snowball fights, and more. So we'll see what that actually looks like and what kind of rewards they're actually going to have for these. But that's pretty cool that they're doing something with packs, because packs, again, don't exist in Destiny and Destiny 2. And we've always wanted the clans to have some type of an activity, so they're basically having a clan activity in Destiny Rising. Now, one addition that they're particularly excited to share is a brand new activity that they have coming for Season 3, which is a tower defense mode, which is really cool. We haven't seen anything like that, so I hope it's something where you can like run around through different areas and not only get into vehicles and things to defend, but also use your abilities and things to defend enemies that try to break through certain barriers. And hopefully it's a long thing and not just like a short, like 5 to 10 minute tower defense, but hopefully it's like a 15 minute, thing, or a 10 to 15 minute, depending on how fast you are at the activity, because everything right now is pretty short. Everything right now is under 10 minutes. And of course, I know they do that for mobile, but when you have like a new mode, players going to really want to experience it. They want it to be something along the lines of the 6-player activities that we have in Destiny 2, which run about 10 to 15 minutes more regularly than under 10 minutes. From here, this is where they talk about the roadmap, and they actually provide a photo of the roadmap, which is great. So we're going to take a look at that here. And so you can see that this roadmap covers from November to April, so season 2 through 4, and they don't really mention anything in April, so we'll be getting a new roadmap hopefully come March that covers the future 6 months starting from April, so April, May, June, July, and August. Now, for season 2, they've already talked to us about the new game mode updates. We have a new battle pass, new character Maru, which we may still have a 4-star character that's hidden with that. We don't know just yet, and nobody said anything just yet that I've seen from people who have accessed the test area. So it could just be Maru this time, but they said the same thing about Hellhest. And then, of course, they have new in-game events. Now, in Season 2, in December, they're going to have the Dawning, which is pretty cool. And like we mentioned that, we're going to have some additional things with the Dawning, with new game modes, which I want to see what that actually means. When they talk about new game modes, I hope it's not just new game modes from the Dawning, but maybe some additional game modes to our core systems that stick with us. Obviously a new in-game update, so I'm curious on what that even means. A new in-game update, meaning that's something that they're going to add or to improve on Calamity Ops and the Expanse, as well as, let's not forget about GMs. So hopefully they do something with GMs. There's going to be another new character. If it's not the 4-star this time, maybe it's going to be a character that we haven't heard but we kind of know of, like another Solar Hunter that we maybe have found, or like we talked about, they still haven't mentioned Reza Lazir or Dredgen Yor anywhere, but it could still be possible that we get some type of a Dredgen or some type of a character that wasn't corrupted yet in the game. And then of course we have all the Iron Lords too. Now this is going to also bring a new exotic weapon alongside of the battle pass. Now I'm curious to see if they're going to be both a new exotic weapon and a new battle pass weapon, or they're just counting the one battle pass weapon as an exotic weapon. So I don't know yet how that's going to work. Hopefully we'll get back to that. And then another in-game update, which hopefully it's 2 in-game updates and not just them accidentally typing that twice. And then new in-game events, which again, the Dawning is one. I hope it's not referring to the Dawning twice and there's another in-game event. Now let's talk about Season 3. So Season 3, they bring a classic beloved Destiny 6-player challenge. And that's really curious because there's a lot of really great 6-player challenge events that Destiny has had. There's been the Vex Network challenges, and then there's been the Menagerie, which is the most loved and the most talked about still 6-player challenge. So if it's going to be something closer to like a seasonal 6-player event, or is it going to be the actual Menagerie with the ability to have all of that Callus story and stuff kick in? That would be interesting to see if that's really where they're going. And then of course we have a new tower defense game mode, and if it is the Menagerie they're bringing, that would also make sense that you could have a tower defense game mode built onto the Leviathan, because the Leviathan has that type of topography. It's designed in a way that looks like it's made for a defense, like a tower defense itself. Whenever you attack the Leviathan in Destiny 1, you have to go up so many levels, and there's walls, and there would be enemies posted along those walls and levels. So that would be a nice reverse where we're defending the Leviathan. Now, again, they mentioned new game modes, and once we get into a situation where we can see what's in Season 2, Act 2, we'll kind of have a better idea what that actually means, along with in-game updates, in-game events, of course, a new battle pass. Now here they mention a new character, but they don't mention a new 5-star character. So I'm not sure if what they're doing is spacing out the characters instead of releasing them together, releasing a 5 and a 4-star. They're going to release the 5-star, and then Season 2, they're going to release the 4-star. Maybe that's what they're doing. And then again, they mentioned new battle pass and new exotic weapon. And again, we still don't know if that means the battle pass weapon or a battle pass weapon and an exotic weapon. Hopefully it's both, because more weapons means more variety, more gameplay. Now, from Season 3, Act 2, there's nothing major for the first time, so this seems to be kind of the lull season. February is going to be kind of that in-between time where if you were going to take a break for the game, or maybe just log in every 3 days to spend your pinnacle power, this is probably that time, because it has everything else and a new character, but it doesn't have anything called out specifically. It doesn't talk about any shifting metas or anything like that. And then, of course, we get to the big guns. That's going to be the new campaign. In this case, they call it a gampaign. So maybe they're making a joke about being a gacha campaign and putting that together, calling it a gampaign, but I think it's just a typo. But that's pretty funny. From now forward, I might just call them gampaigns. Then we have the new Red Sea Rift area. That's going to be the area that everybody's wanting, that has the remaining collectibles for the Red Sea Rift, and that'll allow us to finish up that seal. Then we have the new Gauntlet Onslaught that they talked about. That's one that I didn't really mention necessarily in the article itself, but they did call that out, that they're making a new raid, and they're also going to have a new raid experience, meaning a new contest mode and a new contest mode challenge for everybody. And hopefully they don't allow people to go in there and bring in one person and it count for a whole run and then take up 6 spots in the 100-person leaderboard, or they expand it to 200 people. I don't know how they're going to fix that, but they definitely need to prevent people from exploiting that, so that people will not sell carries similar to how they were doing in the prior event. Now, this talks about having a major system update and a new light experience rework, and I like that they're doing new light experience reworks, and that's something that Bungie should pick up on. Is once a year, Bungie should go and reevaluate the new light experience. And if they're going to continue to keep Destiny alive, that's a good way, is to bring in new people by having their experience be seamless, rewarding, and make it feel really addicting again to play the game. Now, as far as a major system update, I don't know if that's just like a translation wording and what they already talked about, meaning that that update is going to then encapsulate all of the new campaign and everything they added, or if they're actually going to be changing the way that the engine works and operates, and maybe giving us higher levels of performance in the game, or at least people that have computers that have a higher level of performance. That could also be a good time if they can convince Sony to release it on console and release a dedicated PC client, so that the PCs again could take the most advantage and be the most optimized, because they know a lot of people play on PC. And that'll bring in more PC players, because not many people want to run emulators. They just want a game that they can click on and open up, like Destiny 2 and Destiny, and it'll just run. Now, they also mentioned that there's a new seasonal campaign. I wonder if that's going to be above and beyond the campaign. And then they have new strikes, so new Gauntlet Blitz, which again is the 6-player version, kind of like the mini raid, like the little one encounter raid scenarios. And then new in-game updates and new in-game events. And we'll again see what that means with an in-game update coming season 2, act 2, around the dawning time. So I look forward to all of this. I'm glad that they have this out there. This is much more specific than anything that we've gotten from Bungie on Destiny 2. So I'm a little bit more encouraged that the developers take things seriously and have a good eye on what the Destiny community that they've kind of found themselves actually courting and actually in, because again, it's not gacha players for the most part that are playing Destiny Rising. It's Destiny players that are playing a gacha because it's a Destiny IP, and they've kind of realized that, I think, and now they're starting to understand how to cater to that audience, although we have to see it in game. This is just promises made. Let's see if they get to the promises kept stage, but I'm encouraged, and I'm at least happy to see that there's more coming, and that they are serious about it to the point where they're able to put it in writing and put it in front of us. And let's just see if they deliver, especially on that beloved 6-player challenge. Saying something like that, that's definitely something that you can bite off a little bit more than you can chew. Because if you were to pick something that is not actually beloved, but you were like touting it as that, and it was maybe one of the worst 6-player challenges we've had, kind of the more annoying ones, like something like Altars of Sorrow, for example, like we have right now, and that's what they bring into the game with the Hive stuff, that would be disappointing. But on the other hand, if they give us something more like Savathun's Throne World, the activity that we have where you can go in right now with the 3 players, but you make that 6 players, but it's just like level upon level, and you can kind of advance through a tower basically, and you're advancing through levels of difficulty until you reach the final boss room, and the rewards are good. And there's a lot of little collectibles and hidden stuff, especially around Savathun and her ability to hide things. Then I think that would be also a nice addition if it is coinciding with some of the Hive stuff we have coming. Because again, in the trailer, they've showed all 3 of the factions coming. We have a Vex time, which is probably now, because that's the Shifting Gates update. Then behind that, we had the Fallen. And then behind that, we also had the Hive. So I'm not sure what order they're going to be putting that in. If it's, Vex, then Hive, then Fallen, I think would be best, because we've already been kind of dealing with the Fallen. We already had a Fallen in game. We've had a Fallen raid. So I think it'd be good to do Vex and then clear that up and then go Hive. And then from there, you can go back around to Fallen if you need to. So that's most of the major news to cover in this video, but I do want to go over just a new note that came in the game, the maintenance notice for November 6th. So they talk about how they're going to do maintenance a little bit earlier than normal. And so it looks like it's still only going to be a 4-hour maintenance, because it still looks like they're trying to launch the new update at reset time NA. So that's the goal that they're trying to do there. They're going to give us all 200 Lumia leaves, which is nice. That wasn't something that was called out in the last notice update a couple notices ago. And then they also talk a little bit more about some of the additional changes that they're doing here. Of course, they briefly talk again about Maru, and then they talk about the limited time draw Triumphant Voyage. And then they also show again what's coming with that. Now here they mention a Season of the More purchase bonus event. So you can actually go and purchase to claim Bon Voyage charms, black market coins, amorphous dice, singularity prisms, miraculous dice, and more. And these dice that they mentioned are actually new to the game. These are going to allow you to re-roll some of the stats, like weapon damage, bonus damage for abilities, signature, those type of line items on your artifacts. One of them is going to allow you to do it randomly, and one of them is going to allow you to do it specifically to pick one of the line items and re-roll that. So I wonder how that's going to be specifically. I wonder if you can actually choose what you swap it out for, because that would be fantastic. That would cut down a lot of RNG on artifacts. That's actually a really big change, and I'm surprised they didn't talk about that in the dev blog. More people need to know about that, because that's again a huge cut down of RNG, and we'll see just how plentiful those actual dice are. I mean, if you only get like 1 or 2 a month, then it's okay, but if you can get maybe a few a week, like we can get keys for the end game, that would be fantastic. They also have singularity prisms that can be exchanged for incandescent clusters, which is great. That'll help get your characters completed. There's a permanent exotic emblem, exotic ghost shell, exotic sparrow, and there's wolf exotic relic ornament and wolf exotic character ornament, so that's pretty cool there. This thing they talk about here, just the echoing gunshots, which is going to be the server event. You just log in every day and you'll be able to collect those rewards. There's also going to be a season guide event, and they have 3 main modules between Gauntlet Blitz, season updates, and shifting gates. You can complete the guide challenge to earn steadfast seals, and then that also raises your progress in Season of the More to reach milestones so that you can get more rewards. And then of course this also allows you to get tons of Lumia leaves and amorphous dice. And so it looks like amorphous dice is going to be very plentiful, which is a random one, but the very specific one that they have, which was the miraculous dice, that one I think is going to be the one that's really limited, which I hope it's not super limited. Again, I hope it's a few a week, or at least on the level of the keys that we get for the in-game. Now this just goes on to talk about things that you can purchase with cosmetics, a new patron bundle that we have, for example. This is the one that you get where every season you get the 30 days and you get the battle pass all included into one. And you're also going to get another gilding on your patron title. So it kind of keeps track of how far you've gilded. Now, once you have gold medals from the acclaim system, the discounted gold medal bundle is going to become available for purchase. So I want to see what that looks like as well and how much it actually costs. Once the bundle is unlocked, it can be found in store items and the gold medal bundle page. Then you have this Season of the More Battle Pass update. So this just talks about the Battle Pass that we've already discovered. And then they show that the dice that we mentioned have been added to the Battle Pass exotic shop and into the Battle Pass, which is good. Now this one's going to talk about the weapon mods that they kind of mentioned in the last update. So it's just kind of a refresh. If you saw the last video, these are going to be more abilities on the mods for abilities that didn't have anything with mods that boosted them. So that's a good change. I'm still of the opinion that every single ability on every single gun should have a mod assigned to it, but they haven't gotten there yet, but they're working on it. They added a change to where the shotgun, the Octant Ride distributor, kind of takes a different appearance whenever you switch to volley mode, to know that you're in volley mode, so you don't accidentally waste the 6 shots thinking that you're shooting rapid fire mode. Then another great change that they mentioned here that wasn't in the dev blog that should have been is that the temporary seasonal gear boost that you get from upgrading your weapons with the metastable cores, that's actually going to apply to all weapons of that type, which is fantastic. So if I put it on an auto for Wolf, all the autos of that type are going to be 85 instead of having to do 2 separate ones. People are having to upgrade minimally 2, one that give you more power for activities that require higher power, and then one that was actually useful in those activities. Now you can upgrade it once and it covers all of them. So very fantastic time save and metastable core save. So it means you can get more things with the seasonal gear 85 throughout the season. Now, it says here for Yolder, there's a change where her stacks will be deducted based on each stack attack subsequent damage dealt by weapons will generally not trigger the deduction. So I don't know what change that's like, because I'm not a Yolder player for the most part. I don't have any of her crystals, unfortunately, so I never really got a chance to get too deep into her. But if you know what this change is going to be, you can drop that down in the comments so you can kind of explain why it's different now than what it was and if it's a buff or a nerf. Here they talk again about the shifting gates, the 3 Vex bosses, 3 new environments, the new mythic rewards. We've already kind of covered that in the prior video. The direct access pools for Gauntlet and Blitz has been discussed. They added a new Shadow Shaper card. This is new here, Maru. Of course, we were expecting that, but that's going to be something that they have confirmed. And then they also changed some things in Calamity Ops. So we used to be able to kind of pre-game our abilities by popping them early when you're in the starting bubble that doesn't have any timer, and then you can get your abilities back. And this allows you kind of an early leg up on some of the initial ads, because you're going to have like Chain Lightning with Ningfei, for example. You're going to be able to do all those things and you still get them back. So it's basically like having 2 times the abilities as long as you do them in the bubble and then wait for them to come back before you take off, or take off right as you're coming back. And by the time you need them again, they'll be back. So now you're not going to be able to do that. And we'll see if they fix some of the other things that you can do in the bubble to kind of get an advantage. They also added a battle analysis feature, which allows you to view other Lightbearers matches from the leaderboard. I think this is just the graph that shows where they were at what time. So that's not really going to change anything for people who are already posting videos about their runs to help the community. This is only going to change people who were kind of hiding their stuff, like trying to be like very secretive about it, you know, like Smeagol with the One Ring, you know, like all my precious strats. And you know, those people are going to be upset by this, but then when you further read, they can actually make it hidden. So the same people that are in leaderboards, for example, that are hiding their characters and not adding them to the showcase because they don't want people to see how they got there, you know, like it's some secret, like we don't know how the systems work, you know, just to keep their precious, you know, title. It's the same thing here. They're going to be private. So if you click on a light bearer and they're private, that's because they went into their rank details and their privacy settings and turned them off, because they're trying to get every little bit of advantage that they can because they feel like they need it. Now with the expansive Calamity Ops, they also added a new stage mechanic called Elemental Shield Resistance. I wonder if that's just going to make the shields harder to take down, meaning that you're going to be favoring a character that matches those shields. That's probably going to be a counter to Ningfei being able to shoot through all the shields with his weapon. And then in Iron Bar and Shifting Gates, they made some balance changes. They reduced the duration of blind effects. They reduced the damage of Yolder's shield. I don't know, is that bad to begin with? They also reduced the health of Estella's summons, and they reduced the amount of overshield that abilities provide in both Iron Bar and Shifting Gates. I don't play Iron Bar because right now the PvP is not balanced at all, and there's plenty of weeks where there's like one-shot glitches and things like that, so I never even messed with it. Once I saw that you could do stuff like that with Tan, I was like, this is not a serious PvP mode. Unfortunately, it's the only real PvP mode besides Shifting Gates that can be played. But you know, for people that do play Iron Bar, well, hopefully that'll make a change and people will step in and do that more often. Now here it just talks about, again, how they added a new mythic weapon engram. They talked about how the weapons will go back into the normal pool at the end of Season 2. They've adjusted rules for dismantling equipped exotic mods. So if you dismantle a mod that's equipped, it's going to be returned to you. I'm not sure exactly what that means, because normally right now you dismantle that and it becomes a Mobius cluster. And then if you did that with the one that you had equipped, I guess it's going to return you some materials, but you still keep the mod that you can put onto another weapon. So once I see somebody actually like test that out, because I don't want to waste my mods, then I'll be able to maybe put an update and say this is how it actually works. Sparrows here, they reduced the unnecessary hovering action for sparrows. Not sure what that means, but we'll see if that is where like you're trying to land and you kind of get stuck in the air and then you end up like floating off map or something like that. There's instances where that type of behavior will also like drop you out of like a chute, like a cannon or something that's going to launch you forward, and you'll just drop straight down because of that hovering. It doesn't actually pick you up. So we'll see if that's a situation that's fixed. For weapon spray, all weapons of the Coherence Foundry can now use the exclusive spray. Didn't even know that was a thing. In order to create better matchmaking, they've also added AFK detection rules, so that's pretty cool. I haven't had to deal with it myself with a bunch of AFK people, but if you have, you know, that's going to be a big difference for somebody in your area that is AFKing a lot. And of course, you're going to have less of that now with the 2 server merges. You'll have less people who are playing the game and AFKing like that. Again, I never really had that problem. And again, this is the call out for the new dice. The Miraculous dice allows targeting editing of an artifact's abilities, and the Amorphous one is random. They switched the reputation rewards for bounties to season the more engrams, so that was to be expected. And then they added the Amorphous dice in the Fortuna shop. You can purchase 3 with Fortuna crystals per month, and I think it should have been Fortuna dust, not crystals. So hopefully that's a mistake there, and they didn't actually say crystals, because we use the crystals to pull for new copies of the characters every month. Now here it's just a small change. They actually added to the description of Omeko that her void step does in fact give you reload and movement speed increases. That's an obvious thing if you've ever played her. They fixed an issue with leaderboards with Morgan's Prey that wasn't really bothering anybody, but they did that anyways, which is good. And that's pretty much the whole update. So now that we've covered all that, I'm going to go ahead and try to get this video out as soon as possible, and then I'm going to start to work on the video for Maru's abilities so you can kind of see what her abilities do. And I'll see you guys in that one, and I'll see you guys in the next one after that.